Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Thank you, devotees. Seattle devotees are very grateful for this opportunity to contribute to Bhagavan's 75th Aradhana Day celebrations. Our offering consists of reading 12 names of Bhagavan with meaning, chanting Dakshinamurti Stotram, and devotional readings. Offerings are made by Sai Kumar, Vishu, Prabha, Rajesh, Sridevi, and Harish. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Satyadruk, seer of truth. That which rises and disappears cannot be the truth. That which is eternal and unchanging is the truth. The ignorant one is caught up in forms and names. Those who are conscious of the reality underlying these names and forms are seers of truth. Om Satyadrishe Namaha. Satyaha, embodiment of truth. The seer of truth becomes truth itself. To abide in the self is to know the self, says Ramana in Upadeshasaram. One becomes that fullness of consciousness when his individuality is merged in the whole. Om Satyaya Namaha.
Prashantaha, full of peace. It is only the one who is aware that peace is his natural state who can be immersed in peace. The knower of truth knows no perturbance, says Ramana. The Bhagavad Gita verse, the one who abides in that is free from perturbance, also refers to this. One could feel it in the profound peace in the presence of Ramana. Om Prashantaya Namaha. Amita Vikramaha, boundless victor. The previous name praises the Shanti, peace of Ramana. This one refers to his Shakti, power. In the world, success and failure follow each other. Everything merges in the self from which all things rise and subside. The submerging of the mind in its source is the boundary of activity. Thereafter, seeing nothing as apart from oneself and seeing everything as oneself is the victory over everything. Ramana is termed Ajita, the undefeated one, because of this. Wherever he looks, there success is assured. To abide in the natural state is to reach the pinnacle of power. This is the highest state of peace too, says Ramana Gita. Peace is the inner state expressed as power when it manifests in action, says Ramana. Om Amita Vikramaya Namaha.
Sukumaraha, auspicious son. This sweet name denotes youthfulness, softness, grace, and freshness. The eternally young and beautiful person is the younger son of Shiva. The name also includes the primal pranava sound, Om. The sweetness springs from the quality of being ever fresh, each moment being new and full of life. Om Sukumaraya Namaha. Sadanandaha, always happy. The bliss which knows no change or reduction in one's nature. True happiness cannot be that which comes and goes. One could usefully refer to verse 28 of Upadeshasaram, which says conscious bliss comes when one abides as the self by inquiring, what is the true import of I? This bliss is spontaneous, indestructible, and limitless. Om Sadanandaya Namaha.
Mruduvashi, soft spoken. His speech destroys all grief. Being the repository of bliss, he transmits this to everyone who comes into contact with him. Ganapati Muni praises Ramana as soft in speech, cool in looks, and as lotus faced. Ramana's speech springs from the depths of his potent silence and is pleasing to the ear. Om Mridubhashine Namaha. Dayarnavaha, ocean of compassion. By nature, he is a limitless ocean of compassion. Glory to the feet of one who is the embodiment of grace, sings Shivaprakasham Pillai. In his 40 verses in praise of Ramana, Ganapati Muni says, your love is not mental, it is your very nature. Om Dayarnavaya Namaha.
Sri Sonachala Hridbhuta Skandasrama Niketanaha, resident of Skandasramam, the heart of Arunachala. If one views Arunachala from the eastern side, Skandasramam would be seen as the center of Arunachala. A devotee has described Virupaksha cave where Ramana lived for 16 years as the heart cave. Likewise, Skandasramam to which he shifted also deserves to be called the heart cave. From time immemorial, Arunachala has been termed the center of the earth. Ramana, the resident of the heart cave of all individuals, had made Skandasramam his residence. While Ramana was staying in Virupaksha cave, a devotee, Kandaswami, noting a level ground on the hill, made it fit for Ramana's occupation. A fine spring was found near that place. Devotees built a suitable building and the place was called Skandasramam. Bhagavan stayed there for 6 years and with his mother and his devotees. Om Sri Sonachala Hudbhuta Skandasrama Niketanaya Namaha. Saddarsanopadeshta, teacher of Saddarsana. Devotees requested Ramana to instruct them on the nature of reality and the way to abide as that in an easily understandable manner. He composed Ulladnath Paru based on his experience. Ganapata Muni has translated it into Sanskrit as Saddarshanam, the vision of Sat or truth. One who has instructed through this work is Saddarshanopadeshta. The name extols him as the one who has cogently explained the truth which is beyond words. This work was composed after Ramana has shifted to Sri Ramanasramam. Initially, they were stray verses, but later strung together as to form a congent coverage of the subject reality. Om Saddashonopadreshtre Namaha.
Sadbhakta Vrinda Parivara Taha. Surrounded by seekers of truth, Ramana was the center of band of earnest seekers of truth. Sri Ramanasramam at the foot of Aruna Hill was like Kailash itself, as the incomparable Ramana was in the company of those who were devoted to him and were sincere to the core in the pursuit of truth. Praised by thousands of sages, he is like the vast ocean, say the Vedas. These words would be an appropriate description of him. Om Sadbhakta Vrinda Parivrataya Namaha. Ganesha Muni Bringena Sevitangri Saroruvaha. One whose lotus feet were sought by the honeybee Ganesha Muni. The attribute Muni to Ganapati Muni indicates his ardent tapas, ceaseless penance, his extraordinary intelligence, and the breathtaking beauty of his divine inspired poetry marked him out. By his 21st year, he had been bestowed by an assembly of renowned poets with the title Kavya Kanta and was generally regarded as the poet on par with Kalidasa. He is compared to a honeybee because of his poetic excellence and the power acquired by his repeated utterance of sacred mantras. Not only did he enjoy the limitless beauty of Ramana, but he invited all his disciples and the rest of the world to partake of it. Om Ganesha Muni Bringena Sevitangri Saroru Haya Namaha.
वर्षिष्ठान्तेव सदृशिगणैः आवृतं ब्रह्मनिष्ठैः आचार्येन्द्रं करकलितचिन्मुद्रमानन्दरूपम् स्वात्मा रामं मुदितवदनं दक्षिणामूर्तिमीरे वटविटपि समीपे भूमिभागे निषण्णम् सकलमुनिजनानां ज्ञानदातारमारात् त्रिभुवनगुरुमीशं दक्षिणामूर्तिदेवम् जननमरणदुःखच्छेददक्षं नमामि चित्रं वटतरोर्मूले वृद्धा शिष्या गुरुर्युवा गुरोस्तु मौनं व्याख्यानम् शिष्यास्तु चिन्नसंशया निधये सर्वविद्यानां विषजे भवरोगिणां गुरवे सर्वलोकानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ नमः प्रणवार्थाय शुद्धज्ञानैकमूर्तये निर्मलाय प्रशान्ताय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। चिदकनाय महेशाय वटमूलनिवासिने सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यं निजान्तर्गतम् पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिर्विमोद्भूतं यदा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयम् तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदम् श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदम् प्राण्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतम् मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महा योगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदम् श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये यस्यैव स्फुरणं सदात्मकम् असत्कल्पार्धकं भासते साक्षात् तत्त्वमसीति वेदवचसा यो बोधयत्याश्रितान् यत्साक्षात्करणात् भवेन् न पुनरावृत्तिर्भवाम्भोनिधौ तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदम् श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नानाचित् दीर्घघटोदरस्थितमः दीपप्रभाभास्वरम् ज्ञानं यस्य तु चक्षुरादिकरण द्वारा बहिः स्पन्दते जानामीति तमेव भान्तम् अनुबाध्येतत् समस्तं जगत् तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नम इदम् श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये देहं प्राणमपीन्द्रियाण्यपि चलाम् बुद्धिं च शून्यं विदुः श्रीबालान्धजडोपमास्त्वहमिति भ्रान्तामृसंवादिनः मायाशक्तिविलासकल्पितमः व्यामोहसंहारिणे तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नम इदम् श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये राहुग्रस्तदिवाकरेणुसदृशः मायासमाच्छादना सन्मात्रकरणोपसंहरणतः योगोऽसुषुप्तः पुमान् प्रागस्वाप्समिति प्रबोधसमये यः प्रत्यभिज्ञायते तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नम इदम् श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बाल्यादिष्वपि जाग्रदादिषु तदा सर्वास्वस्थास्वपि व्यावृत्तास्वनुमर्तमानम् अहमित्यन्तस्फुरन्तं सदा स्वात्मानं प्रकटीकरोति भजताम् यो मुद्रया भद्रया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नम इदम् श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये विश्वं पश्यति कार्यकारणतया स्वस्वामिसम्बन्धतः शिष्याचार्यतया तदैव पितृपुत्राध्यात्मना भेदतः स्वप्ने जाग्रति वा एष पुरुषः माया परिभ्रामितः तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नम इदम् श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये भूरम्भांस्य नलो नीलोम्बरमहर्नादो हिमांशुः पुमान् इत्याभाति चराचरात्मकमिदम् यस्यैव मूर्त्यष्टकम् नान्यत्किञ्चन विद्यते विमृशताम् यस्मात् परस्माद्विभोः तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नम इदम् श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये सर्वात्मत्वमिति स्फुटीकृतमिदम् यस्मादमुष्मिन् स्तवे तेनास्य श्रवणात्तदर्थमननात् ध्यानाच्च सङ्कीर्तनात् सर्वात्मत्वमहाविभूतिसहितं स्यात् ईश्वरत्वं स्वतः सिद्ध्येतत् पुनरष्टधा परिणतं च ऐश्वर्यमव्याहतम् इति श्रीमच्छङ्कराचार्यविरचितम् दक्षिणामूर्तिस्तोत्रं सम्पूर्णम्.
Spiritual stories as told by Ramana Maharshi. Dakshina Murti. Sri Bhagavan once told the story that follows to Sri Muruganar. This brings out the profound significance of the supreme silence in which the first master, Sri Dakshina Murti, is established. Sri Bhagavan said, when the four elderly Sanakadi rishis first beheld the 16-year-old Sri Dakshinamurti sitting under the banyan tree, they were at once attracted by him and understood that he was the real Sadguru. They approached him, did 3 pradakshinas around him, prostrated before him, sat at his feet, and began to ask shrewd and pertinent questions about the nature of reality and the means of attaining it. Because of the great compassion and fatherly love which he felt for his aged disciples, the young Sri Dakshinamurti was overjoyed to see their earnestness, wisdom, and maturity, and gave apt replies to each of their questions. But as he answered each consecutive questions, further doubts arose in their minds and they asked further questions. Thus, they continued to question Sri Dakshinamurti for a whole year, and he continued to clear their doubts through his compassionate answers. Finally, however, Sri Dakshinamurti understood that if he continued answering their questions, more doubts would arise in their minds and their ignorance, Jnana, would never end. Therefore, suppressing even the feeling of compassion and fatherly love which was welling up within him, he immersed himself into the supreme silence. Because of their great maturity, which had ripened to perfection through their year-long association with the Sadguru, as soon as Sri Dakshinamurti assumed silence, they too automatically merged into supreme silence, the true state of the self. Wonderstruck on hearing Sri Bhagavan narrating the story in this manner, Sri Muruganar remarked that in no book was it mentioned that Sri Dakshinamurti ever spoke anything. But this is what actually happened, replied Sri Bhagavan curtly. From the authoritative way in which Sri Bhagavan replied, and from the clear and descriptive way in which he told the story, Sri Muruganar understood that Sri Bhagavan was none other than Sri Dakshinamurti himself.
Letters from Sri Ramanasramam by Suri Nagamma. Figs. My sister-in-law sent some dry figs through someone coming here with instructions to give some for me and the rest to Bhagavan, as she knew Bhagavan liked figs very much. I cleaned them carefully, dried them, and kept them in a Horlicks bottle. I could not give them to Bhagavan as the ashram authorities had prohibited the giving of any eatables to Bhagavan by devotees. This time, I did not even attempt to seek their permission, though I was feeling sore over it. The fruit was, however, carefully preserved, and so there was no hurry either. I did not taste even a single bit, as I did not feel like eating them before offering them to Bhagavan. The homeopathic treatment was still being continued. One day, I went to the ashram a little earlier than 4 p.m. In those days, Bhagavan was giving darshan from 8 to 10 a.m. in the mornings and from 4 to 6 p.m. in the afternoons. By the time I went there, arrangements had been made for Bhagavan to sit on a table with a mattress spread thereon in the veranda attached to the Nirvana room. That day when Bhagavan came out and sat on the dais, there were about 500 devotees, men and women, children and old people. To the south of the veranda, at a lower elevation, ladies, including myself, were seated. Srinivasa Mauni came at 4:30 p.m. and showed to Bhagavan the letters that were being sent out. On reading one of the letters, Bhagavan turned towards me and looked steadfastly. I could not understand the reason why he did so. When he looked thus twice or thrice, S. Doraya Swami Iyer and others by his side began discussing amongst themselves in whispers what it could be about. Mauni got back the letters from Bhagavan and left. No sooner than he left, Bhagavan turned towards me and said, "Look, it seems the homeopathic doctor has given me permission for taking figs, grapes and other dry fruits. So these people are writing to your brother D.S. Shastri in Madras to send some." That is the letter that I have just read. I was surprised, and summoning enough courage, I said immediately, "Is that so? How strange. My sister-in-law sent some time back dry figs with instructions to give them to you, but I have not brought them here because I was afraid I would not be permitted to give them to you. I have therefore washed them, dried them, and preserved them carefully in a glass jar." Looking at me with compassion, Bhagavan said, "Is it so? They are in your house now?" I replied in the affirmative and was hesitating whether to go and fetch them then itself or not, when Bhagavan said, "Oh, I see. They are here itself in your house. Then why worry? Why have they returned to Madras?" On hearing that, I could not sit there any longer and, unmindful of consequences, got up saying, "I will bring them immediately." I went home and returned in about 10 minutes with the bottle filled with figs. Noticing my coming back, Bhagavan told Rangaswamy, one of his personal attendants, "There, Nagamma is bringing the fruit jar. Go and receive it." Accordingly, Rangaswamy came to the edge of the veranda and stretched his hands when I gave the jar to him from the below. Bhagavan got its lid removed immediately and took some fruit from it, asked for a penknife, and when Rangaswamy brought it, cut the fruit into small bits and began eating them. All those around him looked at him with surprise. Handing back the jar to Rangaswamy with the remaining fruits, Bhagavan asked him to preserve them carefully, as otherwise they would write to all sorts of places for their supply. "We will be able to say that we have them already with us. I can eat them whenever I feel like it," said Bhagavan. Looking at me, Rangaswamy asked me if I wanted the empty jar back, and I replied in the negative. My joy knew no bounds at the graciousness extended towards me. My eyes were filled with the tears of joy. Bhagavan looked at me as if to say, "Is your desire now fulfilled?" It is no exaggeration to say that his eyes were shining bright like emeralds. It was a great surprise to those who were present there that Bhagavan, who does not eat anything given to him by devotees without sharing the same with all the devotees around him at the time, did not do so on this occasion. As this is most unusual, my happiness was without bounds. I was reminded of Lord Sri Rama and his acceptance with great relish of fruits given to him by Sabari, which she had preserved for a very long time, awaiting the arrival of the Lord. I also felt that the song sung by Doraya Swami Iyer in 1946, standing behind me directly, "How fortunate is Sabari, how fortunate is this Sabari," that has come true in a sense. The same Doraya Swami Iyer was present now, witnessing the whole scene and looking at me with great kindness. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Thank you, devotees. Seattle devotees would now like to invite the next participants to continue the celebrations. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.